It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for coming to this weekend. It's so important that you meet your people in person and connect with your community. Now, some of you already know me. My name is Zubyda. Let me get onto my slides first. Here we are. My name is Zubyda, and I'm a psychotherapist stroke counsellor, and I work for Rareminds. As Jared already mentioned, we are an organisation that focuses and works on mental health and your emotional well-being within the rare disease community. I want to stress that if there's anything that you remember from my talk, just remember that there is no health without mental health. Your mental health directly impacts your physical health, and physical health directly impacts your mental health. The two are linked. You can't separate them. So really important to hold that in mind. And I don't think that that is done often. Right? Mental health can also take a backseat. So at Rareminds we have therapists, counsellors, psychologists, and we all work in the disease community. We are trained in this area, so you never really have to explain to us what your condition is. We are aware of your condition. Of course, everyone is affected differently, but in terms of being the expert, having to explain what it is, the lack of awareness, that is not something people need to address at all with any of our counsellors. On our team for Annabelle's challenge specifically, I am the lead counsellor, and alongside me there is a lovely gentleman called Ben Sears, and Rebecca Hargreaves will work mostly, but not exclusively, with the younger persons, so 16 plus. And as was just mentioned, living with vascular EDS affects not only the affected person, but their loved ones, family members, everyone around them really in their unit. There is, through research and through assessment, there is a massive need for support in the mental health area, but unfortunately not so much provision for it. It's not noticed. So in Rareminds, our vision is to make the psychological and emotional aspect of living with a rare condition an integral part of a rare condition care. It's not an extra, it's not an add-on, it is integral to your care. And it needs to be conducted by people who are aware of your conditions. I have heard many times that people have tried to go to counselling, but they end up spending most of their session explaining their condition, which can be very frustrating, and it's not a particularly safe place to be, and the same can go for other healthcare professionals. Our counsellors, we are psychodynamically trained. Really don't need to know what each of these schools mean, but it's just to indicate that every individual has different needs and processes things differently, and you will have different needs at different times. So we will offer help and support that works for you at a specific time, your specific needs. We're psychodynamically trained, but we also work with CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy, mindfulness, acceptance and commitment therapy, which you might recognize more in the acronym of ACT, existential and humanistic approaches. But the emphasis is really, we work with the individual and your individual needs. Looking at the work we've done in 2024, these are the common themes that have come up. Diagnosis. I do apologize, I have a runny nose, so this might happen often. Diagnosis. Now that journey can be quite traumatic and lengthy, and it can affect your trust and belief in healthcare professionals. So it's a big conversation that we tend to have in our sessions, is processing that journey, which is not on the day that you receive the result. It's a continuous journey. It's quite an important conversation to have. Fears about the future, what that might look like, low mood and depression, anxiety and worry. There's a lot of confusion, trying to understand what is going on. Tests, treatments, possible surgeries, the waiting times, waiting for results, having questions, not knowing who to contact in order to get your answer, having to wait. Uncertainty. Uncertainty is a big one. Nobody likes uncertainty. We like to feel like we're in control. It makes us feel safe. Talking about these things in a counselling session is very helpful, because often we don't realize that actually we deal with uncertainty all the time. We know how to do that. We do it day to day. But often when we feel very overwhelmed, confused, and having to process a lot, accessing our internal tools and how we naturally behave anyway can often feel just not attainable. There is a way, as we do every day, to hold uncertainty and live well with it, which can feel quite empowering once you've been signposted to that. People have different feelings around counselling, which is very understandable. It's not always an easy step to take. But how can it help? Counselling provides you with a space that is confidential, it's neutral, and ideally it will feel like a very safe space. It allows you to talk openly about how you feel and what you're thinking. And a lot of the time you might not know how you feel, but that you get better at it the more you talk about it with somebody that is there alongside you on your journey and will help you unpick feelings and how to name them. It's quite difficult to try to cope with something that you can't identify, you can't name. You don't know how to approach it. I need to identify it first. So we will explore the way you hold your diagnosis, the way you live with beds, and explore different ways of holding it and thinking about it that feels more manageable, that enables your day-to-day, because beds is something that you're having to hold day to day. Getting things off your chest and making you feel less alone in it all. What things can I talk about? This is a common question that we're asked. You can talk about anything as long as it involves you. Your relationships, whether it be with your partner, with family members, friends, work, healthcare professionals, the decision-making process of how much do you want to tell people, or should you tell people, and how to think around that. Do you want to tell people at work? Do you want to tell your friends? Will that change your relationship? There are lots of anxieties around how to deal with relationships and what will beds change. Navigating your healthcare and your social care. The communication aspect with your healthcare professionals is often quite tricky. Sometimes you might feel unheard. You don't understand what's being said to you, but you feel like you're taking up too much time. So navigating those relationships and communication methods is really important in order for you to feel that you're cared for and that you understand what's going on. The impact that the diagnosis has had on yourselves and your family and your whole entire world, actually, and how you live your life. Managing your uncertainty, your symptoms, loss, and loss can mean many things, be it loss of a loved one, the loss of things that you used to love to do, that you've been advised not to do. How you imagined your life to be, or how you like to live your life, but actually does that keep me safe? So what is it that I can do, and how can I live my life to make it a full life, but keep myself safe and not full of anxiety and uncertainty? Fears for the future. Now all of these things are really destabilizing, and one needs to be grounded to cope with the day-to-day of life and to maintain your relationships and to be able to look after yourselves. So your mental health and the way that you feel is really important to get a hold of, in a way that you can feel there is a life to look forward to, there is a full, complete, big life to look forward to. And a diagnosis does not define you. Common questions. Often there is another member of your family that might want to speak to somebody, and does Rareminds, are they qualified, can they apply for the counselling, and is that okay? It absolutely is. At Rareminds we will counsel the sessions, as Jared said, 6 to 12 sessions are available for the affected persons as well as your family members, whether it be partners, parents or siblings. Each family member would have a different counsellor allocated to them, and that is to maintain the integrity of privacy and confidentiality, so there'd be no crossovers. And young persons would be allocated to Rebecca. We have male and female counsellors, so sometimes some people have a preference. They would rather speak to a female, they'd rather speak to a male, and that's absolutely fine. Is the animals counselling service confidential? Yes, it is. It is confidential from the moment that you make contact with us, with Rareminds, and request counselling. We will not notify your hospital team. We won't notify your GP. There will be no evidence of having confidence on you, of having counselling on your medical files. However, the only exception to that is if there is a risk of harm to yourselves or anyone else, where we might need to bring somebody in, like your GP, or notify a healthcare professional. But this will usually only happen after discussing this with you, so you will know about it. Waiting lists and waiting for things to happen is something that we really try to take off the table entirely for you. So once you've made contact with me, I will come back to you within 72 hours in order to arrange an initial appointment. Now the initial appointment, we'll schedule it in at a convenient time for us both, but it is a space that allows us to introduce ourselves to each other and talk about what you're struggling with, your current situation, and why you've come to counselling, what counselling looks like, and if you feel comfortable continuing with the process. We don't work on weekends, but we will try to schedule in sessions, usually on the same day at the same time, just so that it feels like a consistent holding time, where you know that you have this appointment. It can feel quite holding. You can have your sessions weekly or fortnightly. Again, that is up to you. Some people find weekly is better, they feel more held. Sometimes people find that a bit too intense and they'd rather have it spaced out. We offer 6 to 12 sessions. That number is not a rigid number. We do work on an individual basis. So if after 4 sessions you feel, actually, I'm good, we can end the work. That's absolutely fine. Each session is 50 minutes. Very easy to access. Just call Annabelle's Challenge or email Danica, and she will put you immediately in contact with me as soon as I receive your email. Within 72 hours, I will respond, and we'll go ahead with the process. If you want, these QR codes are full of information. There's a Wellbeing hub that has every aspect that you can possibly think of when living life with a rare condition, whether it be dealing with relationships. So if you want to take a picture of it, they are on the Rareminds website. You need to access them individually though. The podcasts are very helpful as well, and then there is a report, the survey report, that also has a lot of valuable information. That is my direct email if you have any questions. We also have a little bit of time. If you have any questions about the counselling service now, then I'm happy to try my best to answer them. I know it's not the easiest to ask questions in a public space, so you're also very welcome to email me. Here we go, here's one.
No, it's not about counselling, it's just, Annabelle, you talked about confidentiality, but do Annabelle's Challenge know who's accessing the service, or do they just have a number of people who are accessing the service?
They have a number, they don't have
They don't have individual names?
No, they don't. No questions? Okay, well I'll be around if you do, and there's some cards outside, and that is my email address. So if you need support, please reach out.
Lovely to